In this video, we're going to go over how to reframe your negative thoughts so you actually believe them. If you've been trying to move on from your past, a breakup, a divorce, a relationship, but your thoughts still haven't moved on, chances are that you've been struggling with negative or repetitive thoughts that are driving you crazy and making you feel like there's something wrong with you. Like, why can't I just get over this? There must be something wrong with me. And people might even be telling you, like, just get over it, you can do better, or you got to get back out there. And all of these things are actually making you feel worse. You just want to kind of get into bed, pull the covers over your head, and just like completely hibernate or give up. And people are trying to help you, but it's really only making you feel worse. So this is why. Have you ever tried to just think positive and then it only makes you feel worse after? It's basically like you're telling yourself, I'm fine, but your gut is saying, nope, that's a lie. And maybe you're repeating affirmations that are positive, they sound great on paper, but deep down, they just don't land. So if this sounds familiar, you are not broken. There's nothing wrong with you. You are definitely not alone. It just means that you're human. And in this episode, we're going to uncover why positive thinking isn't enough. And it actually could be backfiring. And we're going to teach you how to reframe your thoughts in a way that actually feels true so that you can start believing in yourself and fully move forward. Hi, I'm Emmi Fortin. I'm a breakup and relationship coach and your love alchemista in this episode today. And we're here to help you transform the raw material of heartbreak into deeper self-love, powerful relationships, and a life that actually feels like yours that you're excited to wake up for. So in today's video, this is step number 4 of my 5-day system to stop overthinking your breakup and your past. I've done a bunch of videos about this already, so after you're done this video, make sure you go back and watch the other ones in this Breakup to Love Alchemy series. So basically, we're gonna figure out how to turn these repetitive thoughts and these self-defeating thoughts into grounded, growth-minded statements that expand your sense of self-worth and, more importantly, your sense of possibility. And here's the most important part. You actually believe that these thoughts are true. Reframing is not about pretending that everything is okay. It's about reconnecting with your honest truth. And sometimes just saying positive things doesn't feel true. If you haven't watched the other videos yet, again, please be sure to go and do that right after this one so that you can go in deep with steps 1 through 3 for implementing step 4. So let's start off with why simply thinking positive doesn't always work. Here's the thing. Your mind and your body, they're not stupid, okay? They can feel when a statement isn't true. And when you say things that don't resonate, like, I'm happy, but clearly you're not, your nervous system doesn't get to relax. It resists. And the famous psychologist Carl Jung said that what resists persists. And what that means is that ignoring or fighting our inner conflict only makes it grow stronger. So that's because your subconscious mind really values congruence over positivity. When your words don't match your felt experience, your brain goes, nope, not buying it. And actually, instead of making it you feel empowered, you're reinforcing the belief that you're not okay. Because every time an affirmation doesn't land, it's proof to your system that you're actually lying to yourself. And nobody likes to be lied to. It's an icky feeling. So you're giving yourself the ick, maybe without realizing it. So psychologically, this actually has a name. It's called cognitive dissonance. And it's the discomfort that arises internally when we say something and it doesn't align with how we really feel about it. So energetically, this is resistance. Resistance creates friction and it creates inner conflict. And so spiritually, this is like trying to plant a seed of light in soil that is not mineral rich and it just doesn't have what it needs to grow. So what we really need to do is after you've done steps 1 through 3 in my 5-step system, is to reframe your thoughts in a way that doesn't just feel positive, but feels true. The true part is actually the more important than the positive part. So what are we talking about? How do we do this? There is an art to reframing your thoughts, meaning it's a skill. It's something that you can learn, and it's also something that you need to practice. But the cool thing is that you can change your thoughts in the moment while you're having them in real time, and that is going to create huge changes in your life. So reframing your thoughts about yourself, maybe they're poor negative self-talk, maybe it's about your ex or about something that happened in your life that you feel is traumatic. It's not about just flipping a negative into a positive. That is where most people go wrong. It's about meeting yourself where you are. So, like, what's your point A, right? Acknowledging what's real. This is what's actually happening. We're not dismissing emotions. We're not repressing anything. We are acknowledging, we're bringing something to light, okay? But then we're opening a door to truth that feels aligned, okay? So let me explain what I mean by this. Let's use an example that I share in the writing exercise workbook that comes with my breakup thought detox system. This is linked in the description if you want to dive deeper into this resource. It will really help guide you through these 5 steps. So this example from that workbook is about Lori, who I mentioned in the last video, and her repetitive thought was, I have to do everything. Now, this was after her divorce from her ex-husband, and they had 3 kids together. So she just felt an immense overwhelm with everything that she had to get done every single day. So if we had just taken that sentence, that thought, I have to do everything, and just flipped it to be the opposite and to say, I don't have to do everything, it doesn't really feel true. It didn't feel true to her. At least it didn't resonate, because on a lived level, she did feel like she was doing everything. So saying the opposite of that just kind of felt fake. It just felt like she was lying to herself. So instead, we reframed that thought into, even though I have a lot of responsibilities with parenting, homework, housework, my job, notice the first half is acknowledging where she is, her point A. The second part is, I can see I'm not alone. There are people I can reach out to for help. So that statement felt true. Notice how in the first statement, it's just like a period at the end of the sentence. There's no room for expansion there. I have to do everything, period, right? But once we started talking about the people in her life that were available to her, she realized that actually there are some other possibilities here that I wasn't allowing myself to see. And so that statement started to feel true. And so it's compassionate, it's grounded in reality, it creates expansion, and it introduces this possibility. So that really is the secret to real reframing, is acknowledging what is, and then also pointing toward what could be. What are all the different paths that maybe I'm not seeing yet right now? So just a little tip for you, a few ways that you can start your sentences, your reframes, to acknowledge your point A could be the next few things. You could start with, even though I'm feeling XYZ, or even though this is happening in my life, right? And then you finish up the sentence. You could also start your sentence with, I'm learning that. Do you see how these are more growth minded? You could also say, I'm open to the possibility that. Or another way to start is, I made the best decision I could with the information I had, or with the skills I had at the time, okay? So you're being compassionate, you're acknowledging that there could be kind of growth on this other path. So each of these phrases honors your humanity, and it also leaves this room for growth and learning, which ultimately is what we want to do when we're in these huge life-altering transitions. So think about it as, this could be a really great plot twist in the next chapter of your life. You are the one who gets to write that chapter, so why not write it through a lens that is supportive and expansive for where you want to go, which is your point B. So I'll give you a couple of examples of reframes that I have worked with my clients on, and I've spent hundreds of hours talking to people about what they're struggling with, and I know that sometimes it can be hard to write a reframe that feels really true. So I want to give you some examples. So a lot of people have used this one, which is I'm bad at dating. Okay, that is just end of story. I'm bad at dating. Boom, that's it. No room for growth there, right? So how can we reframe that? Because when you say I'm bad at dating, really what's underneath that is fear and insecurity. Okay, so we want to acknowledge that. So even though dating can feel awkward and uncertain right now, it's a skill I can learn and get better at. Boom, you just opened the door, even just a sliver, for possibility, right? You're not cutting yourself short. Another example that I've seen people tell me is, I should have seen this coming. Well, we can turn that into a reframe that says, I made the best decisions I could at the time. And now I have more awareness to move forward differently, okay? We're acknowledging the reality, but then we're also providing a possibility that feels expansive and supportive. So these statements have to kind of meet you where you're at. We must include self-compassion because that's an act of self-love, self-acceptance. And this is what makes them believable, okay? The believable thoughts are what actually change your reality. You have to believe that it's true. You can't just lie to yourself all day. So what are you doing when you are using this process? Well, on a scientific level, neurologically speaking, this reframing practice is called neuroplasticity. And it's the brain's ability to create these new connections in between the neurons, which are the cells in your brain, through repetition and, make sure you include this part, emotional engagement. Okay, you can't just say stuff if you don't have an emotionally resonant phrase. So when you choose a thought that feels 1% more expansive than the one you were telling yourself before, and you repeat it while you're feeling the good feelings, you're feeling safe, you're feeling more uplifted, you're feeling expansive. That's what you want this new phrase to elicit inside of you. You must connect the body, which is the feeling part, with the mind, which is the phrase part. So if you think about this, you're really beginning to rewire an old pattern. Basically, you're just taking the same route home from work every day in your brain, right? We want to drive home a new way, okay? And that is neuroplasticity. And we can all do this. We all have the capacity. Now, metaphysically speaking, you're having a conversation with your higher self when you're doing this practice. Every reframe you make is really saying, I'm willing to see things differently. You're loosening your grip on your thoughts, on your fears, on your insecurities. I talked about this in the last video, so be sure to go back and watch it. And you're aligning more with your truth. So we want to remember that we want to not focus on the ego's story, but your soul's perspective. So what is your soul truly desiring? What's it yearning for? We don't want to dwell on the wounded ego story, which is where most of us are residing. So over time, as you integrate these new statements, you start to feel a lot lighter. You start to feel like there's more possibility in your life and in your relationships that you couldn't see before. You literally had blinders on. I always think of those, horses when they put blinders on them, they can only see what's in front. They can't see what's on the sides or behind clearly. You can't see them at all. So what happens is your outer world starts to reflect your inner alignment. The more you can say phrases that are true, supportive, and expansive. So you start to think about things differently, which then causes you to speak differently, which then causes you to choose differently. So your behavior becomes different. And that magnetizes experiences and people that are matching this new energetic frequency. We don't want to be dwelling in how we don't want to feel because we're just going to attract more of that. Okay. So how can we practice this, day in and day out? So here's what I want you to try today. Take your list of your ruminating thoughts or your repetitive thoughts from step 3, which again, you can go back and watch that video, or if you're following along in the Breakup Thought Detox bundle, this is the day 3 exercise. Again, I've linked it in the description if you want that resource. And we're gonna do the reframe by kind of acknowledging 3 stages. First is the acknowledging your true feelings. So you have the thought, you're going to acknowledge the feelings that are behind that thought. The second thing is that you're going to expand your phrase, your thought, into a growth-minded possibility. We don't want to be fixed. We don't want to be rigid. We want to be growth-minded and open. What are all the possibilities available to me? And then we want to select a phrase that feels completely authentic to you, okay? It feels supportive and expansive and how you want to feel. It's going to bring you in the direction that you want to be moving toward. So I want you to write these reframes down. I want you to speak them out loud and notice which ones make your body relax. Notice which ones make you feel more at peace. That's how you know when one of your phrases is aligned. If you say something and you don't feel anything, guess what? That means it's not truly aligned. So you may have to practice rewriting your thoughts a few different ways until you find one that really resonates. It's not about being perfect. It's about being present with yourself and with your body when you're thinking them and when you're saying them. So every time you catch an old thought just looping or you're going into a downward spiral, try not to get frustrated in that moment and instead invite curiosity, okay? You can say to yourself, even though I used to believe that, I'm open to seeing things differently now. Or you can even ask it in the form of a question, right? Even though I used to believe that, what are some different ways in which I can see this scenario? Once you open a question loop, your brain wants to close it. So if you just sit quietly and listen, your mind might give you some answers. That one tiny shift practiced consistently is how you become your own mental alchemist. Okay, we want transformation. You're transforming your reactions to things in real time. That is going to create true change in your life. So I just want you to remember here, you don't have to force positivity to create massive change in your life. You just have to make space for a very true thought that supports your growth and your learning. We want to learn from all of our challenges and hardships and struggles. That's why we're going through them. We're supposed to be shown something through these trials and tribulations. So that's how you turn self-judgment into self-compassion. Okay, this practice is how we turn our fears into curiosity. And this method that I'm teaching you is how we go from limitation to learning. Alchemy is not about pretending that dark is light. It's about transforming the darkness, the shadow, from the inside out. And we do that with honesty, we do it with awareness, and of course, we do it with love and compassion. So leave me a note in the comments. I want to know, what are some of the thoughts that are keeping you stuck and that you want to reframe? Let's support each other here and share what those reframes could sound like. Sometimes I said people have a hard time with this, so let's act as a community and help each other out. So I just want you to remember that you are the alchemist of your own mind, your energy, your relationships, and your life. So no matter what your point A is, no matter where you're starting, you have the power to get yourself to your point B, which is your desired outcome. And guess what? You don't have to do this alone. If you're looking for a community of like-minded people who are going through very similar situations and they're helping each other heal and grow, holding each other accountable, learning and practicing new skills, then I invite you to check out our community. I love having people just really transform from hearing each other's stories and just kind of being a supportive safe community and environment. So it's called the Breakup to Love Alchemy Circle, and it's a safe, supportive space for you to be able to do the deep inner work needed to heal and also attract fulfilling, lasting relationships in your life. I've linked it in the description below. We'd love to have you. So until next time, please like this video, subscribe to the channel. Be sure to watch my next video where I'll share step 5 of my 5-step system to stop overthinking your breakup and your past. So I will see you in the next video.